Yeah, it's your boy Crypto Blood, and welcome to another episode of My Two Satoshis. It is November 28th, 2018, and we're rocking out to that second of 3 song requests by B Minor, Black Republican by Nas featuring Jay-Z. Woo, that's a classic. B Minor, you hit me with some nice tracks here, man. Appreciate it. What's good, people? Hope you guys are doing well today. I know you're probably doing a little bit better. We've had a nice little bullish breakout of a pennant on Bitcoin, so looks like we may have seen a bottom at 3,400, 3,500. Normally what happens is when everyone is chiming in saying 3,000, the market is usually not going to go to 3,000 or it's going to overshoot 3,000. So it's never what the overall, buzz is in the markets. That's just how it goes. So we'll see what happens though, but we definitely got to pop off of that the lows of the last week or so. We'll take a look at the technicals on that. But the first article we're talking about today is SEC Chairman Chair Clayton said no Bitcoin ETF until there's greater oversight. I pretty much, when I saw the volatility that we've witnessed in the last month or so, I said there's no way we're going to see an ETF even early next year. It's just not happening, because one of the main points that the SEC pointed out as is the reason why they kept denying ETFs was because of the volatility. That was one of the points. There were a few, but one of the major points was volatility. So that was my reasoning behind me saying no ETF at the beginning of this year. And I'm even skeptical about the Backed exchange is actually going to launch January 25th or 24th. I think it may be later in the year. We'll see though. But we'll take a look at that article. And then the second article is from this law expert that's saying that Bitcoin is technically not owned by you. We'll take a look at this. I did not read this article yet, but man, that headline definitely caught me. So we'll see if this is some clickbait or something. But it caught my eye. I thought it was interesting, and it would be a great discussion to have in the comments below. Make sure you guys definitely like and subscribe really quickly before we get started. And if you guys want to stop being wrecked in this bear market, definitely want to look at this BitMEX automated trading bot service. We're so far up roughly 240% for the year, long and shorts. So we'll be able to take advantage of those pullbacks in the markets instead of just being in Bitcoin or on the sidelines. You can accumulate a little bit more coins by shorting the market with a proprietary algorithm that I've built, brought it over from the FX markets. So sign up, cryptoblood.io. Check it out. You'll see a link to it on the homepage, and I'll link it in this video as well. But let's go ahead and take a look at that market cap. At the time of recording, we are currently at $132 billion in market cap. Bitcoin's dominance is at 53%. And as you see here, nice pop off those lows. And I'm just going to go ahead and show you guys. Bitcoin SV still struggling. It's up 61% over the last 7 days, doing better than Bitcoin Cash. And it's actually got more volume than Bitcoin Cash as well. That's one thing that people are probably overlooking here, but we'll save that for another day. If you take a look at this breakout here, we broke above that pennant, the second pennant here, and that's very bullish in my opinion. So I was looking for a move to the downside to possibly go for 30 or 3,000, I should say, but that did not happen. So yeah, look to have this line now be an area of support. So if we even come back down this far, which I don't think we would, retrace or reverse all of these gains, I think we'll probably just have a little pullback, maybe a third of the way down, pull back here, and then continue higher. But if we do, you'll look to this line to be an area of support now since we broke it. So it's kind of looking bullish to me, guys. I'm not gonna lie. 3,400 may have been the low. I know a lot of people were looking for 3,000. Again, if too many people are looking for a particular price, it usually never happens. So we'll keep an eye out on that. First article is out of Bitcoin News. This law expert says you don't legally own your Bitcoin. Regulation within the cryptocurrency community has been a hot button topic for years. Now some researchers are claiming a few countries' property laws do not apply to digital assets, causing confusion regarding how they'd be handled by the courts. One of the most attractive qualities of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies is that they allow you to be in complete control of your own funds. Instead of giving your money to a bank or to an exchange, how many of us still do, and let them hold on to your coins, Bitcoins can be stored very securely in your own home. Only you have the private key needed to spend the coins. In that sense, you do own your coins. If ownership was defined by having control over an object, then you would be golden. However, Bitcoin and other digital assets are an entirely new asset class that doesn't exactly fit in our existing legal framework. In England and Wales, the law does not recognize the possession of intangible items, meaning if you can't hold it, you can't own it. Cryptocurrencies exist only on the blockchain, a public ledger that records everyone's balance and transactions. So while your coins are completely cryptographically secure, they are not protected from legal measures. Most legal systems split real property such as land and personal property, which includes everything else. Within personal property, you have things in possession. These are the items you physically possess, such as the cash in your pocket. There's also things in action, which are things claimed only using legal action, such as contractual obligations and intellectual property. If you deposited that cash you had earlier in the bank, it would become a thing in action, as the bank owes you a debt of $20. The debt isn't tangible. You can't hold a debt, but you can definitely get the courts involved if the bank doesn't pay you back. You can start to see how Bitcoin fits in this sort of gray area when it comes to property. You don't really have possession of the coins, only the private key. On top of that, having a Bitcoin in your wallet does not give you any rights to move from any other party. Even purchasing tokens, which require a central token issuer, does not necessarily give you any rights as well. So it says here, does Bitcoin need the law? A significant amount of traffic on the early Bitcoin network performed by people who needed to send money anonymously, often for illegal purposes. It was heavily used on the dark net, most famously on Silk Road. When you pass away, all your real property is passed down to your heirs. With Bitcoin, however, the only way to move the coins is by using the private key. If you die without having written down your wallet password or seed, your family would never be able to access your coins. They stay in your wallet until the end of time. That's just one example, but there are dozens of problems that could arise when cryptocurrencies meet legislation. Price volatility has attracted some investors and kept others away. However, many institutional investors have their eye on Bitcoin ever since the 2017 bull run. The lack of regulation and legal protection surrounding digital assets may be the very thing holding investors back. So I don't know, this article doesn't really go into full detail, in my opinion, on why they feel like, Bitcoins are not really owned by you. I mean, I get what they're saying. Technically, it's funny how we conceptualize what a Bitcoin is, and they're right, it's not even really like anything you have in a wallet. Really, it's just a table that everyone shares globally. All the miners and all the nodes share this long table called a blockchain, right? And each block has a set of transactions in it, but essentially it's just a ledger. It's just a ledger saying this address has this amount, this address has this amount, your address has that amount. So you really don't have possession of it. You just have a copy of the ledger. However, I know, and you guys probably know as well, these governments, man, they move the goalposts. They make up laws as they go. It doesn't matter what you technically do own or don't own. The law is the law. I really don't see anyone beating it in court. I mean, I can see where they're coming from. What do you guys think? Do you think you technically own Bitcoins? What if someone sends you Bitcoins that were stolen and you had nothing to do with it, right? Let's say there was some big hack and the hacker decided to be Robin Hood and just start sending all these stolen tokens to random addresses. Like, what do you do with that? You have to forfeit those coins. It's just crazy because there is no real like direct tie to an individual in a wallet. It's just about who has the private keys, so you guys let me know your thoughts on that. I think it doesn't matter. It's whatever the government decides to make up, and you're either gonna abide by it or not. I think cryptocurrencies gives you at least the opportunity to not abide by it if you choose to. You'll have to deal with the repercussions, but at least they can't seize funds and do those types of things as they can in the traditional market. So I don't know. You guys let me know your thoughts on that. The second article, though, is out of CryptoSlate.com. It says here, SEC Chair Jay Clayton says no Bitcoin ETFs until there is greater oversight. Assume your ICO is a security. The SEC Chairman Jay Clayton is reluctant to add digital cryptocurrency ETFs, including Bitcoin ETFs, over fears of market manipulation, centralization, and custody security. Speaking at Consensus Invest in New York, Clayton said he will not support ETFs for a final product until there are measures in place to ensure that it is free of manipulation, as stated by Clayton. What investors expect is that trading in a commodity that underlies an ETF needs to make sense and is free from the risk of manipulation. It's an issue that needs to be addressed before I would be comfortable adding digital cryptocurrency ETFs. Unlike other markets, cryptocurrency exchanges do not have the same protections from market manipulation. Both the New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ have surveillance measures in place to monitor and prevent manipulation and other kinds of abuse for everyone else except their buddies, right? On the matter, Clayton asserts those kinds of safeguards do not exist currently in all exchange venues where digital currencies trade. When you see an asset trade on the NASDAQ or NYSE, there's a great deal of surveillance preventing you and me from teaming up and pretending we're decentralized. Those sorts of safeguards do not exist in a lot of markets where digital currencies trade. Goes on to say here, this sentiment is not isolated to those in the SEC. It is a common thread among cryptocurrency enthusiasts that whales or large volume market participants are actively using trades to manipulate price, and there is some evidence to suggest such manipulation, for example, tethers potential illicit activity in the market. In addition to these concerns, Clayton underlines that existing ETFs are not at risk of theft or disappearance, indicating that Bitcoin and other digital currencies are not as secure as other traditional assets. And in light of the number of high-profile hacks, he might be right. So far, the SEC has rejected several proposals, including Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency ETFs, including a bid from high-profile crypto venture capitalists, the Winklevoss twins. However, Clayton's skepticism is not surprising and mirrors the overall reluctance of the SEC on the topic. I will say really quickly, you can't steal a stock, right? You've never heard of someone going into the NYSE exchange and stealing 5,000 shares of Apple, right? You can't do that. But in this digital age, this new cryptocurrency, and we've got STOs coming online. I had a conversation with a guy yesterday about STOs. He's dealing with launching STOs and such. And yeah, this opens a whole new game of issues, really, that I don't think many have thought about. It goes on to say here, Clayton had another message for initial coin offerings during the conference. He says here, you should start with the assumption that you're starting with a securities offering. His statement comes after the SEC ramps enforcement actions against cryptocurrency projects, including its first civil penalties against two successful ICOs, Paragon Coin and AirFox. In contrast to that, the SEC's Will Hinman, Director of Division of Corporate Finance, commented that Bitcoin and Ether may be treated as commodities based on a sufficiently decentralized test. However, Chairman Clayton later emphasized that staff statements are non-binding and create no enforceable legal rights. With that said, all other cryptocurrencies by extension may be securities by the SEC's definition until stated otherwise. Those who do not register their tokens as a security are subject to penalties ranging from hefty fines to the outright return of investor funds. When pressed on the security status of Ripple, Clayton declined to answer. In short term, this certainly doesn't help the market's downturn, but in the long run, the SEC may consider integrating cryptocurrencies, ETFs, and other securities into the broader market once better oversight is established and regulations are stress tested. Until then, the market will need to find other avenues of reprieve. So, wow, that's very interesting. That really, you guys let me know, what do you think about what he said and what BACT is doing, and how ironically they just paused on launching next month, decided to go ahead and do it in January of next year, January 24th of 2019. I don't see them doing an ETF. It's going to be interesting, man. It really is going to be interesting. I also wonder about Ripple, because that is truly a centralized type of asset. How is that not a security? How is Ripple not a security? There's that vulnerability. There's that point where, governments can attack one entity, one organization, and that can be easily done with Ripple. So that's a tail risk I think you're going to have holding Ripple. And unfortunately, probably even holding XLM, Stellar as well. Bitcoin is really, there are a few, but Bitcoin is one that you really can't go after one person. And, so we'll see what happens. You guys just kind of let me know about your thoughts on the ETF next year. It's definitely, I told you earlier this year, I thought it was off the table for this year. Still sticking to that. And then next year, early next year, I am not a believer in them passing any type of ETF, especially you see now with the rhetoric that Clayton is speaking about the whole issue. It ain't happening, people. But you guys, again, let me know your thoughts about that. Make sure you guys like and subscribe, click that bell, share this video, all that good stuff, people. And I want to give a shout out again to my man B Minor for that song request, Jay-Z, Black Republicans, featuring Nas. It's your boy Crypto Blood. That's my 2 Satoshis for November 28th, 2018. Holla!